And then briefly, we've got two announcements on two TVs that are coming up this year. One from Sony, one from LG. Maybe we'll quickly go through that, Andy.
Yeah, so Sony announced last week that they are bringing an OLED to sit underneath some of their already announced models from CES. So it's the A75K OLED, and that's going to sit below their flagship A95 QD OLED and the A90K and A80K OLEDs. But it could be quite interesting for people because looking at the specs, it's got quite a few of the features that you're going to see on the A90 and A80Ks. So it's got the cognitive processing XR, which has been improved for the 2022 range with improved object depth and color saturation features. It's got two HDMI 2.1 ports running with variable refresh rate up to 4K 120 Hertz. Uses the XR OLED Contrast Pro. Again, all these running off the tongue nicely. So that's the same as the 90 and the 80Ks. Google TV. It's Bravia Cam compatible, which means that you can get that accessory if you so desire and use the functionality from that. So the only thing that it really seems to be shaving some of the costs off are from design changes, and we think there's going to be a slightly less impressive Acoustic Surface Pro system. So yeah, that looks like it could be one to watch out for if you're in the market for a reasonably priced mid-range.
Yeah, and I think that's what's been missing from the Sony range as well. I mean, I think last year you had the A90J and the A80J, and both of them were quite toppy, if I'm being honest, in terms of pricing when compared to the LG models and even the Panasonic. So it's interesting that they have announced that model that's under there. They're obviously conscious about price points and so on. So again, it'll be interesting to see that. And there's been some price and release window revealed from LG by accident. It looks like by John Lewis, Andy.
That's right, yeah. So picked up on a bit of chatter about the LG 48C2, which is the smallest screen size on the C2 range, which is their sweet spot range for OLEDs. It has been for the last couple of years, the C designated one. So the C2 48-inch did appear or has appeared on the John Lewis webpage. It's there if you want to go and have a look. And the price seems to be £1,399. So £1,399 will get you a 48-inch C2 OLED from LG. So that's £100 more expensive than the 48C1 that came out last year. We think that's because it will feature the OLED Evo panel.
Well, there's also the small matter of the enormous amounts of inflation that's affecting everything. I mean, that may or may not have a role to play as well.
Yeah, there is that as well. Yeah. Yeah.
And interestingly, when the 48-inch CX came out in 2020, which is the first time a 48-inch OLED panel had been introduced into LG's range, that was $1,499. So it's cheaper than the first one, more expensive than the last one.
Well, the first one was because of the way they cut the glass. So it was off every 75-inch screen. They got two 48-inch panels. Yeah. That's why it was expensive, and more expensive at the time than the 55-inch, which they were able to cut six of them off of the same sheet of glass. So in terms of wastage, that was the issue. But with the new plants that are now up and running, they're obviously producing more 48s, and this year introducing 42s as well into the ranges. So, so that's
OG size. I think, you know what, for a bedroom, perfect.
I'm really interested to see the 42-inch because how are they going to squeeze all those pixels in? It's interesting because you don't think of that going down the screen size. You got less pixel pitch.
I don't need to think about it. That's what the LG engineers are for. It's somebody else's problem. I expect it to look magnificent.
It is right. And by the time we come round to do the live podcast in 2 weeks, and it may have to happen on a Thursday. We've yet to decide, but if you go and search that thread, the date will be in there for when it will go live. That's because I am heading down to see LG and Sony that week, and I will get my first hands-on, eyes-on look at the new ranges, and that's the complete ranges from both of those manufacturers. So on the Tuesday and the Wednesday of that week, I'll be in Weybridge, because they're just opposite sides of the business park in Weybridge. So I'll be seeing both of those lineups for this year, TV-wise, and getting a first eyes on. So really interested, really excited for that. And it's going to be interesting to see QD. I'm really interested to see QD OLED and just see how that is. So that's TV news.